join us here on this Monday night. Charles Edmond with Braves Head football coach Cedric Thomas. Give us a call, 601-877-6595. You can text a question, 601-301-2611 on X, Tall Man Radio. So let's get right to it. Coach Cedric Thomas, how you doing, sir?
Well, I'm blessed, Mr. Charles.
Man, it was a interesting Saturday on the Bluff. I'd never seen so many people on that campus before. Stuck in traffic 2.5 hours. And I thank you. I thank the equipment truck. I thank the third bus because we got behind them in the median of the overpass. That's how we had to get on campus. But, you know, you take the whatever with that. It's a lot of people, a lot of energy, and you just have to deal with all of that.
Yeah, you know, that's the passenger of that homecoming, and it always helps when, you know, we got a great history with them. But far and far between. I think we left the offense still in traffic, but it was one of them things. I get it, I understand it, but shout out to the support staff and everybody. Nobody got rattled. I think we had a bus in traffic for an hour and a half at one time, and so those guys got in, and everybody kind of just recalibrated and went out to play a really good football team in a really good environment.
Well, before we get into the game, we were behind the equipment truck. Was the equipment already in the place when you all got there, or did you have to wait for the equipment truck to come and then get the stuff set up?
Both. It wasn't set up. Some of it was in, but a lot of it just had to been set up. So the guys, they did the best they could to pull what they could, out of it. And, they did it for the most part. It's self-contained. Them guys kind of know how things go on the day-to-day. And then once the support staff, got in, everybody hit the ground rolling with taping and guys getting ready. So we was ready from that aspect. I thought they dealt with it well, and so it was just, us going out and trying to play a really good, football team and not let the outcome be what it was.
Well, let's talk about the game, Coach. Let's get right into it. I mean, right off the bat, and we'll have the highlights, but right off the bat, our defense made a couple of statements. We got a lead on a fourth down, but then Southern got some momentum, and then in the fourth quarter, they kind of, pulled away a little bit. So let's look at the highlights, Coach. You win the toss, defer to the second half, and so Southern gets the football early at the 28-yard line on a 3rd down and 1. Kobe Dillon for a 39-yard run to set it up, and they got to our 3-yard line, Coach, where it was a 4th down and 2, and boy, Terrence Graves rolling the dice early, going for it instead of taking 3.
Yeah, it was one of them games where you didn't want to leave it in the other team hand, and I understood, him being at home and his defense and thinking that worst come to worst, that ball was just going to be there, and we still had to drive 97 yards for a touchdown.
And we got to stop. Talk about that play, Coach, in terms of blowing it up. Melton, Malachi Bailey in there. Talk about that.
It was a really big play. Those guys did a good job understanding, conceptually what they was trying to do to us, and did a really good job making the play. But the play before it shouldn't have got out there. We made a poor check. Malachi went inside, and that ball kind of creases. But it was good to see him, do that and then come back and redeem himself with that big 4th down stop.
So the Braves got the football at our 2-yard line, and then on a 2nd and 9, Xavier Vaughn's pass intercepted by Horatio Johnson. Talk about that play.
Well, you look at the clip, the defensive end is clearly in the neutral zone. He's actually touching the tackle before the ball's even snapped. And so that's what he coached to do. He's coached to, throw the shot, try to get a big play out of it. Worst come to worst, they give us 5 yards for the encroachment. But, they didn't call it. And so, in our mind, I told Coach, hey, it's just like a punt. We'll get the defense back out here. The kid just doing what he's coached to do.
Did you get an explanation for that?
We missed it.
No, you missed it. Okay. So with that, Southern got the football at our 47-yard line. Then they had another 4th and 1 at our 38-yard line. And then we got another stop, Spotsville and McLaurin in there. Talk about that.
Yeah, it was just good to see old Spotsville made him captain. He's then played a lot of. I think he played a state championship game on that field, being from Southern Lab. So we was expecting him, as a big time player, to have some fire up on him. Coming back home, and them guys not recruiting him, and he did a really good job early. Making plays, and that was one of the big ones that he made.
So the Braves, with 7 minutes left in the first quarter, had it at our 39-yard line. And then on the 1st and 10 from Southern's 33, Xavier Vaughn sacked, and it was recovered by Southern University at the 37-yard line.
Yeah, that was a tough play, and that kind of got everybody from an offensive standpoint kind of sputtering, because that was the first time Jackie really just gave the sack up around the edge right there. He just flat out beat him. We had to go to some secondary counts to try to slow him down, but that was huge. And so Once we, that happened, we had to go in the lab and just do certain things, from a protection standpoint to give them help. But that was a big-time play by a preseason all-conference player. But, Jack, he just didn't, pass set as well, didn't get his feet moving, and that guy made a big-time play on him.
Overall, Southern had 4 sacks. Talk about the protection on Vaughn.
Yeah, it wasn't good. It wasn't consistent, and you can only imagine being back there and you got guys breathing down your neck. From that standpoint, especially when consistently, guys on the edge, it did a really good job, and so Renee did a really good job. Jack was the kind of the culprit. He just didn't do a good enough job to secure that edge. Consistently, and when that happens, as an OC, you got to do certain things. You see us running sprint out for the first time, just trying to move the pocket, and that ain't who we are. You're trying to bring, tight ends and backs because you got to help them over there. You can't leave them by itself. But then that limits concepts that you normally do because you have the back getting out a lot of times. And so, it's a coach's job now to protect that young adult that's out there besides taking him out the game and putting a true freshman in versus, the guy that he's going against. And I thought, just from a consistent standpoint, it was just too much schematic stuff around that matchup. So we just tried to help Jack, but also tell him, hey, you're a senior too. You got to win some fights to help us.
Yeah, and we had some pre-snap penalties. Gordon had a tough day on some of those pre-snap stuff, especially in the second half. I know that was tough.
Yeah, that'll do it when you're going against really good players. You sit there and look at Malachi. He gets the same thing and the same treatment from us. And so that's what he did. When he got that first one on him, he was shook. He was shook. And so you can see him pop him out of his stance early, trying to jump set him. And, we just had to settle him down to get him to play his brand of football, but also, go to the run game more to kind of take that pressure off of him.
So with that turnover, we were able to kind of deal with that, and we move ahead to 4:57 left. We got the football at the 14-yard line, Coach, and we got to our 36 where we were faced with a 4th down and 1 from our 36-yard line. So Terrence Graves rolls the dice twice, and we come up big, and then we roll the dice.
Yeah, I knew defense had been playing well. I knew it wasn't going to be a 3-point, ball game or a 7-point ball game. I knew it was going to be some points scored, and so I felt like the O-line – it was going to be setting a statement, to whomever in front of them that, hey, we believe in them and they could get a yard.
And not only to get a yard, he got 64 yards. Talk about that play.
Yeah, it was a big-time run. It was blocked up, well executed, and Truck hit it down in there. And it was just good to see, that explosive to happen, especially in the run game.
64-yard run. He was not even touched. I don't think he was touched.
They did a really good job getting to that third level.
So the Braves win that particular drive, but there was a celebration penalty on Truck Griffin.
Yeah, we done with it, Mr. Charles. You won't see another person doing it, or they won't play anymore. So if you don't see them out there no more, that's just it. From now on, we getting the ball to the ref. That's just it.
I'm speechless.
Yeah, I'm done with it. Yeah, we already had that discussion. That's it. That's the last one.
And did he do it? Did Truck do anything, or is you just don't even want to put it in the hands of the officials?
I try to let them be young adults and kind of navigate through it and have fun. They gotta, be funless in a lot of places in their walk of life on campus and in class and certain things. But at this stage right now, I don't even want to put it in the ref hands, and I don't want to put it in their hands. So as of Sunday, anybody else score a touchdown, get to the ref, come on over to the sideline. Any 15 yards outside of that, then you won't see them back in the game.
So a statement from Cedric Thomas on that. So with the celebration, we got the lead, though, 7-0. And that was the score at the end of the first quarter. So I'm thinking, okay, we stopped them twice. We had the turnover. We got the lead, though, and just the momentum was back and forth through the first 15 minutes.
Yeah, we knew, they the comeback kings, when you look at them on tape. So we knew them guys weren't going to lay down. That's Terrence Graves, at his best and at his finest. And so we knew we had to continue to score points and be aggressive to try to keep those guys, behind the chains and keep them on the up and up.
So it was 7-0 at that point. And the second quarter, Coach, at the 16-yard line, you look at what happened there on that particular play. On a 3rd down and 1, and then Sewell up the middle for 3, and then on a 4th down and 4, it was a situation there where the Jaguars got some decent field position at that point. Now, talk about the punting game, Coach, for the most part.
I'm proud of him. I think that's one of the, Coach West done a really good job of kind of adjusting some bodies on there, but it hadn't been any big returns lately, and Frank has been turning the field over. And so we knew we was going to kind of get that thing curtailed and giving us a really good situation to win. And so it didn't cost us this game. And so in the last couple of games, we've been consistent in the kicking game. We just got to continue to do that. down the stretch. And as long as it's not hindering us from winning, then, we can live with it.
Rogers had a 51-yard punt. Dupree Jordan muffed it, but Southern got the football back, so there was an opportunity there. So the Jaguars got it at the 35-yard line, and then they scored the football. 1st and 10 from the Braves' 15-yard line. Noah Bolton's 15-yard run tied it up. It was a 65-yard drive, Coach Thomas. Only 2 passing plays on that drive, so ground and pound for Southern University to tie it up.
Yeah, I think they just kind of wanted to keep it close. They didn't want it to get out of hand. They knew they didn't throw it as well, and we was, trying to sub some guys in and out, and they found a crease in there. And from a schematic standpoint, it took us a minute to get fixed. And then on the touchdown, we had 2 off the edge. Just didn't do a good job containing the quarterback. He pulled it and got around the edge on us.
So it was 7-7 at that point. Southern got the football again with 8 minutes left in the second quarter. And then on a no-huddle situation, Noah Bolton's pass deep to Brown for 37 yards and the lead for the Jaguars. Talk about that play.
Yeah, just the zone read option type play. He got it on the edge, and safety looking at the football could have made a play on it, we thought, but put in a decent spot where he couldn't get it, and just caught us trying to change a call from an up tempo standpoint, and good call by them, and our guy just didn't make it.
So it was 14-7 at that point. So after leading 7-0, the Braves trailed 14-7. But then with 3:18 left in the first half, Coach, you thought Southern had the momentum. They had the football. They got the ball at the 22-yard line. On a 3rd down and 6, Bolton's pass to Jackson. Fumbled, and we recovered. That was a huge momentum shift.
Yeah, it was a big-time play by Steve. He's working inside the curl area. They throw the curl and then quit on the play. He jumped out and punched, deliberately punched the ball out and also recovered it. And so that was huge for him to make that play right before the half. And so we was just, just blessed to have that opportunity, knowing that if we gave the offense the ball in a good, good territory, they could put it in and score for us.
So the Braves with a good start with 1:52 left. I talk about it all the time. The 4-minute offense, the 3-minute offense. This was a 2-minute offense. Put the ball in the 47, 1:52 left. You had 2 timeouts. What can you do with it? And Xavier Vaughn on a 3rd down and 3 from the 8 scored from 8 yards out.
It was a good drive. You come to practice and you check us out. It's kind of one of our deals with 2 minutes, and I think they did a really good job of settling down and from time management standpoint of getting that ball in the end zone. And so we were satisfied, by that to go in once again 0-0.
So at that point, it was 14-14 there. Coach, talk a little bit about halftime. What was your speech at the half?
We had to clean up the turnovers. That was the biggest thing. I think we had, 2 turnovers at that time. Now maybe 3. At that time in the half, and you can't play championship football, doing that. And so we just had to settle them down. We knew it was going to be a 4-quarter ball game, and so we just wanted to, tune out all the distractions and then just settle down and play our brand of football.
All right, so 14-all, our score at the break. We'll take a timeout here. We'll be right back after this on the Alcorn Football Sports Network.
We are exactly what you think. We are not at all what you think. We are past, present, and future, all in one. Because the best way to honor our history is to make history. General Motors, honored to sponsor the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
The agriculture department is going to get you out there and help you be successful in your future endeavors.
The students have access to world-class facilities right here.
One thing I like about Alcorn is the small classrooms where you as a professor get the chance to interact or know all your students.
My professors are teaching me along the way. I will be prepared for the job.
Go the extra step. They go above and beyond what they don't have to do just to make sure that their students are successful.
All right, we welcome you back to the Cedric Thomas Show. Coach, talk about your, the first 30 minutes, back and forth, packed house, opportunities, turnovers. It's just one of those tussles between Alcorn and Southern. Talk about that.
Yeah, the biggest thing for me is just the turnovers. We could have created some space in between us, just by maintaining the possession. And that's mistake-free football. that we refer to playing. And, I didn't think we didn't do that, but we didn't find ourselves in a bad situation, being tired. And so we just wanted to, rid ourselves of those mistakes and then come out and just play, carefree football and give ourselves a chance to win it.
So it was 14 all at that point. So 14 all in this third quarter. And it was kind of back and forth, Coach, in that third quarter. Kind of a tussle. Not a lot of activity. We got the football. Southern got the football at the 28-yard line, and defense got to stop. And so just take a look at this third quarter, back and forth. What were you looking for in the third?
I was looking for some points. I thought we had, we gave the offense the ball in really good field position. A couple times that ball was close to, the 45, 50-yard line, and we didn't get anything, get any points out of it. A couple punts was good. They bagged them up inside the 20. I think a couple times inside the 15, and so we had them. Stuff back there. We knew it wasn't going to last for a long time. It's a good football team, and those guys was going to do a good job of getting that ball out. So I felt like we left a lot of meat on the bone that third quarter and didn't take enough shots. Kind of got conservative, and just didn't come out with anything.
The field goal, the Southern got a field goal, Coach, to go up. Talk about that drive and how we were able to just keep them out of the end zone but able to settle for a field goal.
Yeah, they did a really good job with the tempo, and we tried to sub some guys out, in and out. But those guys that was in there, man, they stayed steadfast, or just, bending but not breaking. And Coach Rowe did a good job with some play calls to finally, close that thing off so where they couldn't get another first down and was forced to kick. So we felt good about that drive. There was a lot of plays and some run yardage, but it's kind of like what we call leaky yardage, from that standpoint. And so we knew we had opportunity to make that stop. They got 3, and we just waiting on the offense to kind of get that thing rolling so they can put themselves in a situation to score a couple points.
So with 17-14, Coach, going into the fourth quarter, just talk about where you are at that point. I mean, 14-7 and 17-14. With 15 minutes to go, anything can happen. Kind of, we were right there despite.
Yeah, the guys, and the sideline was good. The guys was upbeat. They knew that, if they could just, hold on to the football and not let the explosive, happen from an offensive standpoint, we would be in good shape. I'm on the headset talking to the offensive guys about it's time to, we got to, push this ball down the field a little bit. Defense, out there for a minute. We got to keep them off the field, and we got to do some things offensively to put the defense in a better position. Like we always talk about playing complementary football, and I thought for the most part we failed, in that aspect. But just going in, I was just hoping that we could, get some points to get this thing either up or get us back tied so defense can get a break and come out and get a couple stops and we can win it, down the stretch.
Talk about complementary football. What you hear that all the time. What does Cedric Thomas define as complementary football?
For this game, was a little different. We got big stops early, and there was some opportunities out there where I thought offense had some chances to really, push the ball down the field or go for some explosive. We're not the biggest D line. We got some really good guys up front, but we can get, can get pushed around late, just because we don't have that mass, like we had a year ago. And so, we like to play up or play close where, Malachi. He got to be All-American by rushing the passer. He's a good run stopper, but you don't want a guy that's 245, 250, sitting there banging his head versus 315, 330 for a whole game. And that's kind of what happened. And I thought we didn't play complementary football from an offense and defensive standpoint because offense really didn't give us a chance to get up besides that 7-0 lead. And so that kind of hindered them guys down the stretch, just from a defensive standpoint. And I thought they fought their butts off tooth and nail to try to get stops, but we just didn't do a good enough job on both sides of the ball.
Well, as you look at the fourth quarter, with 6:50 left in the fourth, and we got the football at our 25-yard line, and that was a big play. It was 17-14 at that point, and then the Vaughn fumble that kind of gave the Jaguars the momentum. Talk about that play.
Yeah, that hurt. Anytime you turn it over, especially, in the fourth quarter, it's coming, everybody looking at that clock. You kind of see that time, winding down. I got the time out. So, just them having it wasn't a big deal from that standpoint. It was just from a momentum standpoint. It kind of almost gut punch you and take the wind out you when you turn it over. I think that was for the fourth time right there, and it's kind of like, not again. And so, defense had to go out. We was hoping like heck to get a stop for us, and I think the very next play, might have been the explosive to take it to 10.
Talk about that particular play, Coach, when they did score that touchdown to go up.
Yeah, that hurt. You're looking at the time, you got 2-minute offense. But now you're thinking an onside kick, if you can get it in, the band rocking, the environment is just, it's crazy. Just inside zone, we get kicked out of gap. And then that ball hit us for, 50, 60 yards. And so, we knew right then we was behind the sticks, behind the chains and the time. And so we had to at least try to score it to get ourselves the opportunity to even try onside kick. But, that didn't even work. Took a couple sacks, I think, or a sack, had some penalties, and then that thing just, it just ended, horribly.
Yeah, that big run. I mean, and what also made it frustrating was the fact that, well, obviously Bowden was knocked out of the game, and then T-Set came in, and he just handed the ball off basically, and didn't put him in a passing situation.
No, they wasn't gonna pass it. They knew, and they stuck to their identity. They did who they were, and they saw that we was getting kind of knocked around up front. And they just handed it off, and one of our better players, who was been consistent for us, just got out of gap for a minute, back found it, and he took it to the house.
Yeah, that was a huge play right there, and that made it 24-14. Just how much did that take a lot of the wind out of the sails?
It was a lot. It was a lot. We realists, we trying to do everything we can to score, because if we got time on the clock, we got a chance. I had the timeouts.
Actually college fund was founded 80 years ago.
So what I was actually trying to do
was change this nation for the better.
Just
and they
score.
have.
Hopefully we can get six quick, and try to onside kick. And so but that was a tough one right there for that play to go on one play. To put them up by 10.
Yeah, and then they were up 24-14 at that point, and had an opportunity to try to get something down the field. Coach, what's kind of frustrating in a way was the last couple of plays of the game offensively, especially the last play, and I know you talked with Vaughn about it coming across.
Yeah.
He ran out of bounds, unfortunately, instead of just,
even the ball up, give him a chance. Give him a chance.
Talk about that.
Yeah, that just, as a fifth-year senior, making that play, I was highly upset, very, and I expressed that to him. And me and Gales, we had a talk, and we're gonna continue to put the best guys out there that give us a chance. But that's a bonehead play. I could have got a freshman, to go out and do that. And so if that's what I got to do, then that's what I got to do. But I was really, really upset about that decision making. We've already thrown interceptions before. At least give you guys a chance. We could get a pass interference or anything, but put it in their hands. And so I expressed that, to him, and also, talk to the OC about it, but that really wasn't to my liking at all.
Yeah, I know that was frustrating. Just give your team a chance.
Yeah, and then you played a lot of college football, and that's one of the reasons why you're out there for games like that, and also kind of manage and make really good decisions. Whether wins and losses come, that's a part of it, but we got to give ourselves a chance, and he didn't do that.
So the final score 24-14, and let's look at the numbers, Coach. Southern University, 295 yards rushing on 50 carries. Talk a little bit about that, Coach, and they averaged almost 6 yards a pop.
Yeah, two of them was explosive. That's the one at the end. And I think maybe the 39-yard, run early. So, the numbers are the numbers, but we had a chance to win. It wasn't the defensive line that kind of gave that thing up. They playing too many snaps. Offense got to help them get off the field. If we continue to play snaps like that, like we did early in the year, teams will be able to run the football on us. There's so many guys we can put out there, or schematics that we can run, when you can just sit there and just kind of keep the ball and stymie the ball. Teams that like to run the football can't run the football when they're not up or tied. And so that's the complementary piece that we got to work on. Offensively, we should have had a couple more points, to kind of make them, not have to lean on the run so much. But yeah, it's 300, but that didn't bother us as much as losing and not getting the defense out of some situations that they shouldn't have been in.
When I look at the team numbers, 72 snaps by Southern University, that rung in my head. UAB 50 snaps in one half, 72 for the game. I know that's a lot. Or is it a lot?
No, not really. No. Now in today's football, when you start talking about up tempo and they went fast, that's about right. So we need to be matching, that 70 to 85. But when you look at, ours, we don't have 72, and that's the difference. We're not getting enough production, offensively. Not even just the scoring aspect, but we can't go 3 and out. We got to keep the defense off the field, and so it's one of them deals, man. We didn't do it, and so it's a good time for us to go back in and clean some things up, continue to work on some things, and right our wrongs.
Well, the biggest question, Coach, and you talked about it at Football Media Day, only 72 yards passing. It was a tough day for Xavier Vaughn, 10 of 21, 76 yards total for the game. So you talked about it at the SWAC teleconference today in terms of where you are with that. So the question is, at this point, and fans, this is probably the $10 million question. Where are you with that quarterback position? Where are you with Xavier Vaughn? Does he, with a bye week and getting ready for Alabama State, a tough game, a tough defense we're going to be facing in Mobile, at this point, you still see that he gives you the best chance to win?
Yeah, right now he does, and that's because we don't play anybody. So we got time to practice, and guys got an opportunity to go out and show what they can do consistently. But we got to have somebody to push the ball down the field when needed. We know we can run the football. We've been consistent in that. Like I said, earlier, Pop Warner team could have threw for more than 75 yards. That's unacceptable. And that starts and ends with me. But it definitely be fixed, no matter who's back there. We're not going to parade a Division I football team out on anybody's field and think that's acceptable. When we know we got the athletes, we got the guys that can do it. And so now it's on us to be able to do it. So, this is a good week for us to go clean some things up and go see. But we'll see who trots out there on next Saturday. But whoever it is going to give us a better opportunity, or we're going to do some things that they can do to throw for more than 76 yards passing.
During the course of the Southern game, and you hear this all the time, well, when a quarterback is struggling, you sit him out a couple of series, let him see it, and then he kind of sees it and then gets back on track. Was that something you were thinking about?
No, not at the time, because I didn't want to get nobody else hurt. I mean, you got that defensive end coming around the edge, and he got 3 or 4 sacks. And, that's unfair to throw a quarterback in at that time, and he hadn't seen the action and speed. It's different when he's being protected, and he got time to get the ball off. But a lot of those plays, man, he's just scrambling and running around for his life. So you want him to come in with more of a conducive atmosphere where he has a chance to at least throw the football around at times. And so I just want to say, to play himself out of it, and either with his arms or with his legs. And, he didn't do it, and he turned the football over also. So that's 4 turnovers in last 2 games. And so, we got to make some decisions, and it's not a hard decision. It's just the right decision to put the team in the best position to be successful. So we'll be able to go through it and self-scout ourselves and look at the guys, and we'll see, who gives us the best chance when we go out against Alabama State on next Saturday.
Well, you've been saying this all year long. And we knew that we can run the football. During a 4-game stretch, we had 999 yards rushing prior to the Grambling game. So running the football, we knew we could do that, and we were able to do that. Mm-hmm. But you said it from week 2. We got to be able to push the ball down the field at some point, and you've been waiting for it, and it's been kind of tough.
Well, last week, we threw it, pretty decent. You don't want nobody saying nothing. Well, I wasn't saying nothing when you throw Tyron Warren, with a 70-some yard strike, and you sitting there saying, hey, look, if we can do that, that'll keep guys up out the box, So that kind of just holds you and say, okay, well, we know it's there. But it ain't all on Vaughn. A lot of that's on the play calling also. We got to give them plays to be successful and throw certain routes. And so it was a collective unit by everybody that stepped in that stadium, from me to every coach, to every player. We can't turn it over. We can't get 295 yards ran on us, and we got to throw for more than 75 yards, and we can't let them sack the quarterback, 4 times. So it was a complete disaster, overall, and I'm responsible for it. But we'll get this thing fixed from the efficiency standpoint of doing what we got to do to win. At the end of the day, we got to score more points than the other team, and we didn't do that on Saturday.
What was the challenge with the protection? I mean, we knew coming in Southern defensively can lock it down, especially in the fourth quarter. I think the most they've given up in any quarter this season was 21 against McNeese, and that was week 1. 8 points, 5 points, shut you down in overtime. Now, what was the challenge with that Southern front?
2 defensive ends. They got 2 defensive ends that can really put a lot of pressure on you, from a speed standpoint. And in this league, we talked about, just the passing aspect of it and the pass pro. And, Jack didn't have his best game, and he had some pressure on him. And some guys, up front, didn't win a lot of their battles. And, from a coaching standpoint, we didn't give them the tools to be able to handle that pressure. And so, like I said, it ain't all on Vaughn, it ain't all on Jack, it's on coaches also. We was all complicit, to the inefficiency of what happened offensively and defensively on Saturday.
Well, we're halfway through the Cedric Thomas Show. We're going to take a break here. We've got a call standing by. A bunch of questions, Coach. Obviously, fans are concerned. And we're going to pull up the SWAC standings as well because there's been a lot of questions about some of the games, which games count, which games don't. We'll look at the standings in terms of where we are, but we do know for sure that we're 2 games out of first place. Southern has a tiebreaker on us. So we got to do our part. That's all we can do. Southern's got Florida A&M and Tallahassee. They go to Alabama A&M next week, so it'll be interesting there. We're off this week, and we go to Mobile next week. So you don't want to do a lot of scoreboard watching. You just want to handle your own business for sure. But we'll take a time out here. We'll get to our calls. We had a little outage there for a moment or two. We apologize for that. We'll take a break here. We'll be right back as the Cedric Thomas Show continues in 1 minute here on the Braves Sports Network.
Founded in 1920, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has produced some of the most iconic names in sports. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Alcorn State, Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, Grambling State, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Prairie View A&M, Southern, Texas Southern, and the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff have united to embark on a new era of greatness. The Southwestern Athletic Conference, building champions for life.
Honey, what I think you need is a socket wrench.
I played JV basketball.
I'm sorry. I don't think it looks right.
This is good, and it's all good, baby.
Is it really all good?
If you love me enough to routinely test your handyman skills, not to mention the strength of your marriage, then of course you'll visit nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat to make sure I'm in the right car seat.
I'm gonna call my dad.
Welcome you back to the Cedric Thomas program. Coach, defensively, want to give the shout out to the defense individually. Stamarian Edwards, who was the defensive player of the week last week, 14 total tackles. Edwin Summerauer with 10, followed by Gideon Spotsbill with 9, and Jaquez Dew with 8.
Yeah, those guys, they fought, man. They fought their tails off. Just kudos to Coach Rowe and that staff, man, for they gave us a chance to win. They gave us a chance to win, and those guys play hard for them. Those guys understand the culture, and so I just hate it for them because they left it all out there on that field on Saturday.
All right, let's go back to the phone line, 601-877-6595. We have Aurelio Quinn from McGee standing by. We appreciate your patience. We appreciate you calling in. Well, we had Aurelio Quinn. As you can hear, we had her on. She couldn't hold on. We apologize for that. Call back, Aurelio Quinn, and we'll definitely get you on. Coach, just a lot of questions. Obviously, where it starts and stops, obviously, is the quarterback position. You've talked about that already, and the fact that you've got to really do some, is it soul-searching, hard evaluation? You kind of halfway know, even though we got 12 days before we go to Mobile. You've been thinking about that, I'm sure, the last 48.
Yeah, I've been thinking about the whole setup, offense and defense. It's a lot of things when you lose in the manner we did. You're always, evaluating, things that's going on. But I was doing that, in the Grambling game. I was doing that in the Valley game. It's a constant evaluation because everything is day to day. When you're dealing with 18, 19, 20-year-old brains and you're dealing with, grown men, that's in the profession. And so it's a constant evaluation, every day, every week is different. And so that's my job, to make sure I put this team in the best position to be successful. And so, that's things that we, look at, not just from a personnel standpoint, but functioning standpoint. We got to do some things, practice-wise, to clean some things up this late in the year. And so the good thing, we got an off week to kind of go in and do some of those things. It's a lot of football left, and we still searching and waiting, to play our type of football. To finish this thing out. It ain't got to be perfect, but, regardless of the wins and losses, we know what our brand looks like, and we just got to get that done.
I know after the Grambling win, we were all celebrating. We were all dancing down I-20 coming back home because we got the win. But you really got on your team Sunday after the Grambling game. How was it like following the Southern game?
It really wasn't. I didn't have to get on them because, they crying and out in the flow themselves because they felt like they let one slip away. My thing, Mr. Charles, I ain't concerned with the wins and losses. That's going to come. I done won some, I done lost some. For me, it's just to put the parameters around them, to let them know, hey, look, this is what it takes. This is what you got to do. And then, I got to evaluate every move, every decision that's inside the program to be able to help them, achieve that, And so, that's the whole thing. And those guys was hurt. Wasn't no need to to get on them is the 24-hour rule. It's 24 hours when you win and celebrate. It's 24 hours when you lose to get it out your system, because this thing, it'll hunt you all the way down to the season. That's coaches included. These coaches, they vested. They got families that ain't, when they go home, the household ain't happy, it ain't upbeat, because they put their heart and soul into this. And so they know they didn't do their best jobs. And so, but my job to get them, that guidance, encourage, and let them know, hey, look, it's over. That's done. When you look at it, we 3-1. We played we won some, we lost some, but we still working our tails off to continue to be consistent and be efficient. And so it's over with. Come in the morning when we hit the grass, hey, we on Alabama State.
Got a question. I interviewed Tremaine Watson for the halftime of this past game, and he talked about how he took things personally. I understand. Was he on the sideline Saturday?
No.
Yeah.
No, he wasn't there.
Okay. So, with that, and I know you kind of rally around that when something like that happens, however, whatever the deal was, just talk about how the offensive line was able to rally around that.
You can only look at the play, Charles. I think they personally, tried to rally around it. But when you look at the play, it was the worst game we played all year. And I think him not being here affected them, because, you spend so much time with your quote-unquote football dad, and when it's time to fix problems, you don't have that sense of guidance, that sense of calm to be able to, let him know, hey, what's wrong, Pops? And so, he was in a situation where he had to take care of his family, and we ultimately totally understand that, and so those guys missed him. We did the best that we could inside the framework of trying to help him. And so, we missed the big fella, and hope Mom get well, man, and we here praying for you.
All right, you can text a question, 601-301-2611. From the text line, Coach, in this person's opinion, Southern is not a great team, but they beat us. That says a lot. Coming out of the spring, I felt like we had 4 capable quarterbacks. You brought Vaughn in was a mystery, especially after going 0-11 at his previous institution. He may be a nice, mannerable young man, but a different opinion as a quarterback. And basically, not giving Tyler Macon a fair chance to prove his worth. Talk a little bit about that. That's still being talked about, and especially after the game that he had with 76 yards passing.
Yeah, that's fine, and that, that's for them to talk about it. And I understand totally. We really excited about where Tyler is right now. We just got to get him the ball more, in all different aspects. And so we do have some good quarterbacks, and so we'll continue to put the best one out we feel, starting with me and the rest of the staff feel that'll give us a chance to be successful and finish these 4 games out.
Defensively, up front, folks were talking about the 3-man front. Are you satisfied with that?
Yeah, we put 3 down, 5 down, 8 down. We tried to put as many as we could, to stop that thing. And what they was doing. And so when you play 73 snaps, man, and 13, I think maybe 8 or 9, maybe 10 in a row, it's gonna be tough. I don't care who you got out there. We gotta take some pressure off the defense. From an offensive standpoint, and play what we said, complementary football. Or if not, it ain't gonna matter if we playing a 9-man front. They're gonna find gaps. Guys get tired, and it's just a situation where that's what happened. And so, I like where we at. You talking about 14-14 going into the 4th. Versus a team and an environment. That we had a chance to win in every opportunity, but we left way too much out there in the 3rd quarter. So, we'll continue to work, continue to clean some things up defensively. But, that defensive structure gives us a chance to win every Saturday.
Penalties. What can you say about that?
They just penalties. The one I'm more disappointed with, Mr. Charles, is Truck. That's 15 yards for celebrating. Holding is either hold and let the refs call it and put it in their hand, or get your quarterback knocked out, or just let him run by you and get your quarterback knocked out. And so, penalties going to be penalties. It's put it in the refs' hands, just like the one that they had, and he's touching, and they say they missed it. But the one I'm more so, I'm done with is the celebration. I'm done with that. We ain't doing that no more, or we just won't play. That's it. But that's my stance on that.
I was kind of concerned the hit that Southern's quarterback took, Bowden, and Graves thought that might have been, some extra stuff there. The officials didn't call it. I was holding my breath.
Yeah, he didn't touch him. It was just like Valley. I'm glad they didn't. That was one of the calls where they didn't. Shout out to the refs. They didn't get caught up in the hype because he never touched him. He just jumped over him. That was the same thing that happened at Valley when they did call on Kayvon Henderson. And a lot of times, refs are emotional. They want to, help the quarterback, but fair is fair. And so, he never touched him.
So penalties, we had 8. So, but just it's kind of like a broken record deal on that. And the one, obviously, you just talked about the one that the celebration one, but you're definitely done with that. But the other ones, the holds. How do you look at when you have a situation where you have a bunch of holding penalties in a game? How do you look at that as a head coach?
They probably going against a good player. They ain't out there just holding because they ain't good enough, especially when you look and you don't see it consistently. We hadn't had a whole lot of holding calls, from the offensive line. And so there's a reason why you're holding. And a lot of good players, will have you to do that. And so that's kind of what happened to Jack. But also it's subjective because the ref can call holding, in any league, anytime and any place. So, those didn't affect the bottom outcome of this game. We got to clean some technique, work up and stuff, but you don't want to take the aggressiveness, out of them guys, because when you look at everybody else, it's kind of like what and what from a penalty standpoint. But we definitely won't be doing it. The celebration did no more.
All right, so text question in, obviously about the offense. Coach, 3 weeks ago, you said you were going to help the OC. Has that happened?
Oh, yeah, most definitely. I'm in there. He ultimately get to call it. But that's why you see some of the changes that happens. That's my job. And so he can't see it all of it. I give him some things from a defensive perspective, and we even talked, after this one. He know how I feel about the outcome and what we did. He discussed, his mindset, and we're going to keep that behind closed doors. And so we on the same page. We definitely on the same page.
From a special team standpoint, you had a situation where you had a return 2 yards deep in our end zone and got it to the 20, but if you let it go, you get a little better field position. Talk about the operations on punt and kickoffs.
Now, I want that return. We got Mako and some guys back there. We took one of the former guys off, and so this is an opportunity to get one of our playmakers the ball, and so we trying to, change that field over. We thought we saw something in the kickoff return, aspect. But like I said, as long as we got guys back there, that we comfortable with, like, Mako and T, they got opportunity to change that field and turn it over. And we also had an explosive, off that same unit. And so, we like where we at. From there, we got some guys back there we know could turn the field around. And so we're going to be aggressive from that standpoint.
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that. I know you talk about decisions and, what punts going over your head, and with the turf, you get the turf roll 15, 20, 25 yards. I think we had one. Rogers had a pretty good punt that probably traveled 60 yards and got a little turf roll out of it.
Yeah, that punt team is doing a really good job. They covering well. Dylan Crowell has been holding it down. We got some guys out there that just really making that group so much better. And then Frank did a good job of catching, kicking, and the guys covered it.
We're going to take a break right here. We'll take more of your questions when we come back, and we'll look ahead to the off week as we get ready for Alabama State week after next. Coach, 8 straight weeks of football. 8 straight weeks. We may be the last team in the league to have a bye week, I want to say. But 8 straight weeks of football, and we'll talk about that and just the grind and how this team's been able to handle it, the cramps, the injuries, how we've been able to deal with that. So we'll take a break here. We'll be right back after this.
Founded in 1920, the Southwestern Athletic Conference has produced some of the most iconic names in sports. Alabama A&M, Alabama State, Alcorn State, Bethune-Cookman, Florida A&M, Grambling State, Jackson State, Mississippi Valley State, Prairie View A&M, Southern, Texas Southern, and the University of Arkansas Pine Bluff have united to embark on a new era of greatness. The Southwestern Athletic Conference, building champions for life.
I feel like the education department here at Alcorn has prepared me for the future in the classroom.
We're a family environment who can guide you and will get you to where you want to be.
It's really easy to cultivate that one-on-one relationship with your professor or your advisor.
Our students will be able to go out and impact the lives of the people that they work with.
I was really glad I made the decision to come here.
What I would tell aspiring Alcornites, when you get here, you're not going to want to leave.
Welcome back. We apologize. We had a bad internet connection and we just lost everything. But for those that are watching, you'll still be able to catch the action. For those that are listening, we apologize. But Coach, again, we talked about offensively during that time. Again, the quarterback position, you're still evaluating that, and you got some time to make a decision whichever way it goes.
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah, long season. He won some games for us, and he lost some games also. And so we know he's a competitor, and we just got to clean some things up. We got to be able to push the ball down the field no matter who's back there. Like I told Coach Gales, I don't care who it is. I need somebody that can get the football down the field when needed, consistently. And so I trust him. He's done it before with less talent, and I know he'll get it squared away, ASAP.
Because of that, was it a little easier for Southern's defense just because we couldn't push the ball down the field? I know that was a challenge.
Yeah, when you're getting hit upside your head, Mr. Charles, I wish some of y'all could get back there and see what it is to throw the football down. When you got 255 pounds, man, running and jumping on your back, it's hard to sit back there and try to see guys open. And so, that's quarterback talk, that's couch talk, and I get it, but until you back there and you got guys jumping on your head and your neck, it's easy to say shoulda, coulda, woulda. And so I get it. I understand totally, but, it's not to my liking. And when it's not to my liking, I don't really care what anybody else saying. I know I didn't like the output of what we did efficiently, from an offensive standpoint. And so that's all I'm worried about. I get the critiques, and, people can say what they want. They got every right to, and I'm going to listen. But at the end of the day, I'm in this seat. I'm going to make the decision what's best for this football team. And I didn't like what I saw on Saturday, regardless of what nobody's saying. And so now we identified the problem. Now the solution is let's go find ways to be able to get the ball down the field and be efficient. Whoever it is ain't got to throw for 1,000 or 200. We got to, be efficient in whatever that looks like to help us win and put the offense and defense in the best position to be successful. Then that's what we need to do.
214 yards rushing, Coach. That's what we had. You do the math there. That's almost 6 yards a carry. So we're, you talk about the big run, 214 yards on the ground. Talk about running the football, Coach. We talked about Truck Griffin. We talked about Vaughn. So talk about Williams in the backfield.
Yeah, we wanted to put it in his hands. He was a running back coming out. Kind of got stymied with the playbook from an offensive standpoint, at wide out. So we just wanted to get it to him. We know that's his natural position, and his guy did a really good job moving some people around, on the offense. You see Mako with it in his hands. You see him run the Wildcat. You see him catch passes. So those guys ain't just in the room with they twirling their thumbs. They trying to, do things to be innovative, to score points. And so kudos to them. I know what they're doing and the long hours they putting in. And so, we just right there on the cuffs, Mr. Charles, I honestly believe it. We right there on the cuffs on some of those plays that if we can just stretch it and, be efficient, that makes us more complete, and get some of these guys out the box. And so if we continue, if we can do that, I think we'll have a really good chance coming down the stretch.
Damian Jones had a quiet game until the fourth quarter, I believe. Were they kind of spying him a little bit? He had 5 targets.
Yeah, those guys, they were just bigger. When you look at them secondary guys, they kind of pushed us around a little bit. When you see that ball on the edge on the perimeter screens, we didn't block well. When you see our stack look, that's a really good offensive set for us. But those guys took one person and just, knocked each other back into it. And so you sit there and say, well, I can't raise up and throw that out there. And then when you see, guys getting off press and getting off some of the linemen, kind of throwing timing off, that kind of slowed him down a little bit. And so then he dropped the one across the middle when he was falling down, which I've seen him make that catch a lot of times. It was just, it was overall, debacle, for everybody. And, just a poor team effort. Some things that we gotta clean up. We played well in spurts, but we just gotta put the whole thing together consistently. And good teams, Mr. Charles, they keep you from doing that. It ain't like we going out there playing against air. They scholarship players too, and they well coached and they physical, and that's a good ball club. And so it wasn't all on just all going out there not playing well. Southern had a lot to do with that too.
So you looked at Southern in the fourth quarter of games. We talked about it. The most they gave up in any fourth quarter this year was game 1, McNeese, 21 points. They pitched now 3 shutouts in the fourth quarter and overtime. And so what is it about the defense, especially once you get into the fourth quarter? Did they make any adjustments there in terms of tightening things up in the fourth?
They just keep coming relentlessly. Like I said, they got 2 defensive ends, and they don't stop. High motor guys, man, they play hard, they play fast, and they play for 4 quarters. And so you get them tackles and you get them old linemen, man, they kind of get tired. And if you don't control them, with just playing, solid football, being able to, run at them also, but also get some extra surfaces over there and to help block them and do things like that. That's what make that defense really well. And you got some coaches over there that have been doing it a long time that understand adjustments and pros and cons, to that scheme and schematic, and really good players. And so, shout out to them. You can't take nothing away from them guys. They played their tails off, and we still should have scored something. We ain't gonna be anybody, scoring 2 touchdowns a game.
Yeah. What adjustments did we make, if any, in terms of when it was 14-14 and just trying to figure something out in the third quarter? I thought that third quarter was a tussle back and forth. I thought maybe we make a couple of plays, get them on their heels again. And who knows? I mean, here we go again. But that didn't happen.
Yeah, you saw a sprint out. We never run sprint out. When you sprint out, you cut one half of the field down because you're trying to run away from the rush, because you're sitting duck. When you sit back, you see us run the screen. You come across the middle, and Truck don't. He missed time and he don't get it. You see us run the perimeter screen on the edge, and they just knock us back. So it was we put the tight end over to try to help. Jack. In some of the pass pro stuff. We did some things to try to alleviate what they was doing, but ultimately, like I told Coach, regardless, I want to see the ball go. The ball got to go down the field. We didn't get tired and won a shot. Over X amount of yards, and so that ain't on Tyron, that ain't on the offense. That's on us. As play callers and coaches, and I can deal with the criticism, but also I'm critical because I'm gonna be the first one to go in there and say, hey, look, these are things that we didn't do. And so we gotta get this done. We gotta do it. And so Coach understand that. And so we'll get those things cleaned up. And shout out to Southern. They did a really good job defensively of not letting us have our way with some of those concepts.
I didn't ask you about this for the pregame last week, but of course the big storyline, Alcorn going against former coach Fred McNair, was the tight ends coach. Did you get a chance to talk to him at all?
No, it was strictly business, Charles. It was strictly business. Get in, get out.
Strictly business on that front. All right, Coach, so we get ready for the bye week. What's going to be the schedule like here? I think we may be the last team to get a bye week. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're going to go Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Tuesday and Wednesdays in sweats to just try to, get some guys healthy, but also, clean up some kicking game stuff. We'll do that. A lot of individual work, a lot of endo throwing and catching, defensive scheme and schematics, a lot of footwork, drill work, skills and drills. And then Thursday we'll have our annual crab bowl where we'll kind of let some guys who hadn't been playing as much, go out there, put the ball down and kind of let it rip. So see if we can pull a couple special team guys, from that unit, and also eval those guys as they go into, the spring, to see if we can get a Kevin May. You see Kevin May, out there on kickoff now because of what he's done on scout team. And be able to, infuse yourself in it. You see Sip, he's a junior college guy that didn't get eligible till late. You see him, out there playing a major role, in the kicking game aspect. So offensively, Coach going to kind of, grab some of those extra wide outs and put a little more speed out there and kind of run a little bit more empty stuff. He'll work on that starting tomorrow, and then defensively, we may have to get a guy like Cam Richardson to move to the defensive side, to give us a little more girth inside. And so, we're going to do some things that, we just ain't going to take it going, down to the ground or without a fight. And so that's what this time for. So that's what the workload looked like. Today we still worked on Alabama State, Norma Downs. Tomorrow we'll work on third and long, third and short, third and medium. So it's just typical work week with us, except, we're just going to take the pass off. Guys went to the doctor today, make sure everybody kind of getting well the best way they can, and we'll let them, chill out after Thursday, and we'll bring them back on Sunday.
So they'll get out Friday and Saturday, and then you get ready for Alabama State.
Oh, we're getting ready for Alabama State in the morning. Yeah, we'll start in the morning.
Well, based on what happened on Saturday, and you kind of talked about this and referenced this, are you at a point in which you have to overhaul some things? Is it some tweaks here, turn a screw here, there?
We ain't get here by, we ain't in a bad situation. That's the nation. When people say they worried, I don't know what they worried about. From that standpoint, we ain't got to overhaul nothing. We'll tear this whole thing up this late in the game, with eight games already being played, and you really the off week. It ain't like you get a month. You only get a couple of days. When you think about it, because we normally take the shoulder pads off on a Thursday anyway, and so biggest thing is just trying to get healthy. But we still got to get these 2-3 days up on Alabama State. But we just got to tweak some things. When you look at what we do consistently, we've cleaned the kicking game, up. We can run the football, which is sound. You look at anybody anywhere in the world, first thing I'm going to tell you, if you can catch, if you can tackle, and you can run the football, you got a chance on any level. Now we got to be able to throw the ball more than 100 yards. That's the one key component that consistently we hadn't done. Now we've thrown it, more than those yards, but 75 should never show up in our database far as yardage. And so, that's easy, and all that ain't on the person who's doing it. We big boys, and he can take it. A lot of that got to do with the play caller. And he knows, some of his mishaps in that game to keep that from happening. And we know behind the scenes. And so I promise you won't see that no more, but regardless of who the quarterback is. But what we're not going to do is we ain't going to throw it 50 times either and get 4 or 5 sacks, and then we're not running the ball. So it's a place for both to get us right where we at defensively. We got to just kind of clean some things up, and find some more bodies up front, because we're not the biggest as we've been in the past. We still, top 5 in the nation in interceptions, so we're taking the ball out. We're getting turnovers. So now, Mr. Charles, we ain't got to overhaul all this thing, man. We 3-1. We're putting the pressure on ourselves to play great, not because of what everybody else saying. We're saying that in the building, we know we got so much meat left on the bone because internally we want to play well, not because of what nobody's saying. That's the challenge for me as the leader of this program, and the challenge to them is to be able to continue to work and get better, and they have gotten better. And so we'll get that straightened up, and then the penalties, excessive celebration is done. It's done. I don't care who it is. And so we'll clean that part up. And then, from here on out, it's Alabama State. We got to go 1-0. And we do that, we'll put ourselves in a position to be where we need to be down the stretch.
Again, the Jaguars with the win, they are in first place. And, again, they have the tie break. So people were asking Coach about the standings, and they look at a team like Jackson State, and they played Grambling, they played Southern. Those games do not count in the standings for them, but for us, every game that we play in the conference counts. So we got to take a look at that, and nothing we can do about what happens in Tallahassee or they go to Huntsville the following week, Coach. We just got to handle our business, and it starts next Saturday in Mobile.
Yeah, that's it. And our guys, I think they kind of got caught up in, we win this, hey, beat him, and let's just go play. When we playing and we having fun and, we doing that, everything will take care of itself. And so those guys got caught up. It's the first running back fumble that we had all year. Sewell was that's 8 games. That's almost unheard of. And that's the first running back fumble we've had. And you sit there and say, why that game? And I think it was just a lot of pressure put on the guys that was unnecessary when, just go play. This unit has fun, and play to the best of their ability when they're playing free and just having fun. We ain't got a lot of guys in that room that has been in Celebration Bowl or championship, type games besides, the one we had on the mishap of Texas Southern. And so I just felt like they was uptight early and trying not to mess up instead of just playing free. And so, we just got to have fun and go play. Have fun without the penalties, that type have fun. And so we'll talk to them and reiterate that. And so for us, it's just, hey, look, let's just go work to play the best Brave football that we can play, and outcome from here on out to take care of itself.
Well, Coach, I know we don't have a game this week, but I do want to talk to you next week because a lot of stuff we talked with A.D. Robinson. You talked about the schedule. You've talked about the schedule. We're not playing McNeese. Who's going to replace that? And there's some news in terms of national letter of intent. There's some new rules there in terms of that. And recruiting, that's always a thing to talk about. So we'll get to that next week, and we'll preview Alabama State. They found some offense. Their defense has been pretty formidable, but they found some offense a little bit as they played Mississippi Valley. They're off, and they got a big game coming up on Saturday. So we'll talk about the Hornets and all of that next week on the Cedric Thomas program. For our producers, Jamario Brooks, Cedric Tillman, I'm Charles Edmond. We apologize for the outages, but for those who are watching, you didn't miss a thing, and we will definitely post the whole deal online on the audio component of it. So we'll talk to you next week with the Cedric Thomas Show. So long.